Roland Unfiltered, be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
Folks, today in Cincinnati, a former judge was sentenced to jail because of a mishandling a confidential document. Now, first of all, she was convicted in 2014, but yet over the last 5 years, Judge Tracy Hunter has been fighting this conviction. Well, today, a judge decided that it was time for her to go to jail. It all came to an end this morning when the judge said this.
County Justice Center, credit one day. Mr. or Ms. Deputy can take her away.
Joining us right now is Jennifer Branch, civil rights attorney and co-counsel for Tracy Hunter. Jennifer, thanks for joining us at Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Thank you, Roland. I'm glad to be on to talk about what happened to Tracy today.
So folks have been sending me information, and I've been reading stories, and this has been going on for 5 years. Now, what is this confidential document she was accused of mishandling, and how does that result in a jail sentence?
Yeah, there is no document. They never introduced a single document into evidence, and it is a miscarriage of justice. She did not commit any crime, and the crime that they accused her of committing was handing a document to her brother who was being fired. That didn't happen. She didn't commit a crime, and she has been appealing this for 5 years. She did nothing at all, and she got thrown in jail today for 6 months. It's an outrage.
So let's take folks back. When she won, it was a very controversial race that she won, and there were those who were angry that she actually prevailed in that election, correct?
Yeah, you can say everybody was angry. In 2010, she ran in a Democratic primary for Hamilton County Juvenile Court judge. The Democrats did not endorse her. They opposed her. She won the primary. She ran in the general election. She ran against the Republican judge. And in that race, there were several hundred votes that never got counted. And she called me 10 days after the election in November of 2010, and I've been representing her ever since. We were able to go to court. It took 1.5 years, but eventually the federal court said, count those votes. And when they were counted, it turned out that she had won by 74 votes. It's a reminder that every vote counts, and you got to count them all. She got on the bench in May of 2012 and changed things in Hamilton County Juvenile Court. She wouldn't let children be shackled in her courtroom. She used her discretion to say that juveniles should not be charged as adults. And she made changes in evening the playing field for children so that they would get evidence before trial, what we call discovery. She made a lot of changes, and she made a lot of people mad. And I think that's why she ended up in jail today.
And so she fought this thing for 5 years. First of all, how has this impacted her life, her career? With also going to jail, how's this impacted her life moving forward?
Well, when she was convicted in October of 14, at that point, the Supreme Court of Ohio took away her law license. She's not been able to be a lawyer. She's not been able to make a living since before she was indicted. And she has not been able to have any peace the last 5 years because since her conviction, we were able to go to the appeals court, we lost. We went to the Supreme Court, we lost. We went to federal court. And at that point, we won. And we had a habeas case pending. And every day that case was pending for the last 3 years, she woke up every morning not knowing if today was the day there'd be a decision. And today was the day she'd lose and have to go to jail. It's been devastating to live a life like that, especially when you didn't commit a crime.
All right, then. Well, first of all, certainly extend our best. There are people there who are upset. They're talking about issuing protests across Cincinnati. We certainly will be following to see what happens next, Jennifer. We sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Over the weekend, actress Lela Rochon deleted her social media account as the photos came out showing her husband, Antoine Fuqua, the director, kissing Nicole Murphy. Now, social media went nuts, slamming Nicole Murphy, Antoine Fuqua, saying, "How are you cheating?" But this also didn't happen. But then people began to talk about when photos of Lela Rochon. And people saw her, of course, in Harlem Nights, played a character of Sunshine. She was in Boomerang as well. And people began to talk about her size. And oh my goodness, look how much weight she's put on. Well, Dr. Rachael Ross, who's a sexologist, she also talked about this on her Facebook page, also in her live stream. And people been blasting Dr. Rachael, saying she is fat shaming. And she's saying, no, we better learn to have some honest conversations when it comes to our relationships. Dr. Rachael joins us right now. So, Doc, first of all, glad to have you here.
Glad to be here, Roland. Thanks for having me.
Okay,
Yes.
So for the folks who are watching, you're not one of these TV doctors who's a fake doctor. You are an actual doctor. You have a degree.
I have an MD and a PhD. I'm a family medicine physician, board certified practicing family medicine physician, and a clinical sexologist. So there we go. Let's put that out there.
All right. So when you made your post talking about when you saw the photos, different photos of Antoine Fuqua and Lela Rochon, and let me also say this before I get to that. Everybody knows who watched this show. I don't waste my time on black celebrities who got married, who got divorced, who they dating, who they screwing, kids they had. That's their personal business. I don't cover those stories. But I thought this was interesting because it reveals something. It took an entertainment story, a gossip story, but dealt with something else on the relationship side, on the health side, on the mental side. That's why I wanted to talk to you. And so you wrote this piece where you looked at these photos and you talked about body language. And you talked about what happens with black women when they get married when it comes to their health. And so share your thoughts. Why did you weigh in on this topic the way that you did?
Yeah, I appreciate you even asking. Now to me, I responded, with body chemistry and language the minute I woke up and saw it. And as I think most of Black America did, because what we saw there is our worst nightmare, right? Your husband kissing one of the most beautiful people in Black America, right? Because there's no real coming back from that, right? So I looked at the pictures and their body language, and I said, oh my gosh, did someone pose for these pictures? Are they making an announcement? Does he want his wife to know that, hey, it's me and this person now, because it looks very staged to me. So my immediate response was to then go and look and see couples, pictures of him and his wife together. And so as I'm clicking, I said, oh my gosh, there's no connection here. There absolutely isn't. And so when I turned to social media, everybody was talking about all the weight that she gained. So I looked immediately at the lack of connection, immediately at the fact that Lela Rochon no longer looks like the Lela Rochon I remember her to look like. And so I took to social media to immediately respond like, oh my God, the same response I would have given if that was my sister, my cousin, my patient. It wasn't about make a connection with your husband, because at this point, when I saw the photo of him and Nicole Murphy, I said, well, his relationship with his wife is over now. So my response to her isn't, girl, go get yourself together and get your man back or anything like that. My response to her is like, okay, let's back up. We've obviously got some health challenges here. Now, as a physician practicing in Gary, Indiana for almost 20 years now, I can spot a health condition across the room. But to the untrained eye, it's obvious that she has health conditions too, because she has gained probably 30 or 40 pounds. And you can never convince me that that amount of weight gain is going to be healthy for somebody. So couple all of this together with the fact that we know, studies show, that when men get married, their health improves. But we don't see the same type of data with women, because women have a tendency.
But you also, but Doc.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. So I want you to make that point, because you said that in marriage, a woman's health worsens. Explain that.
Yeah, so they studied almost 80,000 women between the ages of 50 and 79 for about 3 years, right? And what they did is they looked at the parameters of weight, waist circumference, use of alcohol, exercise habits, and diets. So the women who were divorced and the women who were single, they actually fared better in all of these parameters. So before we thought relationships keep everybody healthy. Now we know if you're diagnosed with cancer and you're with somebody, you have a better tendency to make it through that situation. But what we don't know, we cannot say that marriage is as healthy for women as it is for men. And it's because we have a tendency to give ourselves away in the relationship. So my post is about self-love, self-care. Take care of yourself. You know, we saw, you know, and what I like to do is take a celebrity situation and make it so that it relates to all of us. Because we've all been cheated.
Doc,
we've all cheated. Yes.
You also want people to deal with the reality that we are physical beings, meaning we are attracted to things physically. If you see a car, that's a bad car, we don't have the same reaction to an ugly car. When we see somebody, that typically there's a physical thing that catches our eye that leads to getting to know somebody. But the reality is, I can't see your soul or your inner being, because the reality is, if I see you across the room, I'm seeing the outside of you. And what I also got was I thought you were trying to get people to also deal with that understanding that when things do change to happen to us physically, whether we are men or women, it has an impact on somebody who we're with as to how they then treat us, receive us, or they feel attracted to us. And you're saying, yo, you better pay attention to that and not act like it's not important.
Oh, absolutely. And let me tell you something. People will show up in the office and they've lost a connection with their partner because of a new scent. Because they don't like the way he smells when he comes home from work. And believe it or not, that'll be the one thing. So if we can be not attracted to our partners because of a scent, certainly vision becomes a part of that. So yes, I mean, the elephant in the room is that Lela Rochon has gained a significant amount of weight. Now, there's theories that it's related to lupus and autoimmune conditions and things like that. But I want everyone to understand that if you have a physician who has you on so many steroids that you manage to gain 60 pounds, you need to change your doctor, because it doesn't have to go like that. Look at Nick Cannon. Look at Gina. You know, we cannot continue to make excuses for things that we actually do have control over. So when it comes down to it, you have to take care of yourself.
Right. As a sexologist, do you believe that part of the issue is that we don't really want to have these really deep, hard, honest conversations about what happens when you are in a relationship and finances change, weight changes, your emotional connection changes, your commitment to kids over your relationship changes? That part of this issue, that when people cheat or when people actually get divorced, is because we don't want to deal with this. Men and women don't want to confront the hard stuff. And then, frankly, what happens, it may lead to somebody cheating, when in fact, had you chose to not step out and had the conversation, you could have avoided that to either leave or stay.
No, yeah, absolutely. I get questions all the time from people who are thinking about cheating. You know, they like my point of view because it's just realistic. You know, it just is what it is. And I've had husbands message me about weight gain. I've had husbands message me about illness. And my message is always very clear. You know, you really need to work with your wife or your husband to try to get things right. Now, we don't know what happened in this particular case. But what I can see when I look through the timeline of the pictures is that he steadily losing weight and she's steadily gaining weight. But I also know he put her through a love child situation. So I know there was a lot of stress in the home there. And what I want people to understand is that stress will kill you. If you're in a negative relationship, that can actually kill you and cause you to gain weight, cause you to end up with chronic illnesses. So what came first here, the chicken or the egg? We have no idea. But what we do know is that when we see those pictures of him with Nicole Murphy, we're looking at someone who is, you know, like a gazelle. Every woman is just like, can anyone, I mean, like, why is this happening to me? Why would he cheat on me with her? Of all people, there's no competition there. So I think he was a jerk before all of this. But I also can see that this timeline of disconnect happened along with this trajectory of weight gain. And we have to take care of ourselves for ourselves. Now, the relationship part of things has to be important too, but you've got to do it for yourself.
All right, Dr. Rachael Ross, folks, be sure to subscribe to her YouTube channel. Check her out. Doc, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Man, anytime. Good talking to you, Roland.
All right, Doc.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
All right, folks, you've heard me talk a lot about marijuanastock.org. Why? Because I want to keep you informed of investment opportunities that make sense. We have all watched the growth of the cannabis industry. A recent report by New Frontier Data estimates the global cannabis market at over $340 billion. We know that marijuana legalization is sweeping the country state by state. We also know that marijuana has a good cousin, the hemp plant, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all of the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. And they need land to grow all of the plants. Folks, this is not rocket science. It's just an investment, an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. In their business model, it is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. Our friends at 420 Real Estate decided to do something special for the Roland Martin Unfiltered family. Originally, the minimum investment level was $500. Right now, though, you can invest in the crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200. The range is from $200 to $10,000. Again, this is a $340 billion industry, okay, that is still growing, and you can get in with as little as $200. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game, and you can do it now.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. What also cracks me up, though, these clueless black conservatives who somehow, oh my God, I can't believe this thing is happening. The folks that announced this, dropped this video today. If y'all want to see an insane, stupid, ridiculous, sorry black conservative, yo, listen to this brother who is just clutching his pearls because of what Trump has done.
I think that this go back comment hit a lot of us that support him. It hit a lot of us in the gut, I think, and I think that a lot of us of color conservatives who support the president, I talked to a lot of my friends, and we're still trying to process. It just came out of left field, and this is probably one of the most, I don't know, one of the most controversial comments that ever came out of the White House. And so, I don't know, I'm still processing it myself, and I think that the president is putting a lot of us in a very precarious situation, people that would have supported him. I think the president has a base, and he has a far right-wing base. And there's a lot of white nationalists, a lot of racists, a lot of anti-Semites in that base. And I feel as though the president has said, okay, well, I had a small margin of African Americans, small margin of Latinos, small margin of LGBT. So what I'm going to do is I am going to have a PR strategy that's going to PR strategy that is going to rile up the base. And so I feel like a lot of us feel like, wow, like where do we fit in, you know, anymore? Are we still welcome in this movement? Are people of color still welcome? So a lot of us are still reeling from that comment. And I will tell you, a lot of my friends that are black conservatives, a lot of them have jumped off the Trump train. They've gone over to Kamala Harris's side. They've got involved in her campaign, and also Joe Biden's, certainly here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The president, there's a lot of people that believed in him. There's a lot of people that believed in him, and I think that the president's got to understand that, you know, when he attacks Colin Kaepernick, when he attacks LeBron James, Steph Curry, you're attacking the very people that you say that you're trying to reach look up to as role models. And so I think that it's up to the president. It's up to the president. Do you really want to have an inclusive campaign? Do you want to have an inclusive run? Do you want to have an inclusive administration, or don't you?
Eugene, how does it feel to have some of these dumbass black conservatives who it came out of left field? What game has he been attending?
I'm going to preface this next segment with this statement. Kevin Martin is a fucking clown. And the fact that CNN found him and used him as a model is ridiculous within itself. I believe that larger segment was something that Van Jones had hosted. The thing is this, you're going to see people like Kevin Martin pop their head up. What he said earlier in that segment is that Trump's statements weren't enough for him to walk away from Trump. You know, he's a clout-chasing clown. You know, he's one of those guys that, you know, feel as though he needs to go Facebook Live while driving and, you know, talk politics while he's sitting in traffic. And is not indicative of anybody serious. You know, he's been somewhat confined to Pennsylvania, and I don't know anyone in Pennsylvania that actually works with him. Or Ohio, because my understanding is that he was an Ohio native before he popped up in this CNN clip. But, you know, he is indicative of other folk out there. You know, he's of the Diamond Silk Hill, of the Lynn Patton Hill, and some other folk that, you know, will just give Trump a pass for whatever and just let whatever rock. But he's a clown and should not be taken seriously at all.
All right, Doc.
Well, I was going to say, being a black conservative has nothing to do with being a Trump supporter. And I think we're conflating being a conservative with being a Republican and being a Trump supporter.
No, I'm putting them all together.
Well, no, I think
I'm putting them all together because a lot of them are supporting Trump.
No, and I'm saying, if you are a Trump supporter, you're not necessarily a black conservative. You're a fool. And I think Eugene said it right the first time. I will say this, though. If it wasn't enough in 2016 for him to talk about grabbing women by their vaginas, if it wasn't enough to talk about all of the racist housing policies he pursued in New York, if it wasn't enough for all of the other things that Republicans claim they care about, for him to say, you know what, maybe this isn't my guy, then I don't know why this moment is the defining moment. This is nonsense. This is a person who is more committed to being a Republican than he is to actually being a person of conscience. And that person actually has no place in anybody's party, because I don't see how you move from a Donald Trump supporter to be a Kamala Harris supporter. I don't believe those people exist.
Joy, look, Eugene called him a fraud. I've been calling all of them frauds. I went to the White House when they had their little red hat party with Candace Owens and her little imps. And it was a joke sitting there watching them. What you have is you have a bunch of people, and Eugene, you met some of these folks. What they do, Joy, they simply are there for the entertainment. They get to hop to the front of the line. Yeah. They're getting a level of attention they could not get anywhere else. They are not even well-versed on policy. Right. And frankly, they're idiots.
Right. At some point, you have to stop passing. You can't be in that and be saying that, oh, I admire Colin Kaepernick. At some point, you're trying to, like you were saying, social climb in a community that doesn't really welcome you, because you're not welcome wherever else you were supposed to be, because you know nothing. But at the moment Donald Trump took out a full-page ad in the New York Times to rail against innocent young men, and it's not apologized in the last 17 years or more, no more than that, almost over 20, that was enough for me. That was enough for me.
Yeah, but again, there's like, I'm still processing this.
Right.
Well, processing what?
What the hell is that a process?
Processing
It's
what?
real simple.
Processing.
It's real simple what he's saying.
As Eugene
and
said.
everything he says.
But this is what Eugene was talking about earlier. When you talk about punching a black man in the face at your rally and saying, it's okay, I'll pay your legal fees.
Right?
That wasn't enough for you. This man doesn't respect you. He looks at you. He pities you because you're so foolish that you don't even understand your own interests.
They're frauds. And that's why Eugene, that's why Candace Owens will not bring her trifling behind here to debate. That's why she's been running from me for a year. That's why Tatum, her little boy, he won't debate. That's why Charlie Kirk, her boy, he won't debate as well, because first of all, they probably saw what happened when Dinesh D'Souza came here, and he still is in shock, and because they are frauds. That's what they are. And let me be real clear. I know real black conservatives. I know people who are black conservative, who have been black conservatives for 3 and 4 and 5 generations. You can talk to them with some common sense, and they don't defend this nonsense or say stuff like, this came out of left field. I'm still processing it. Eugene, final comment.
Yeah, I mean, look, what you see is this. You see a new crop of folk that came up when Trump came up. And the hope is that they go when Trump goes in 2021, when hopefully President Harris is sworn in. But there are serious black conservatives like myself, Mr. Michael Singleton, and others that, Terrence Satmeyer, that have been in the game for a while, that understand that, look, we may differ on how to forward the black community, but at the end of the day, we want the same outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nonsense. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
Hey, folks, this is an unbelievable, crazy story. Louisiana police officer suggested that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, congresswoman from New York, should be shot on Facebook. Charlie Rispoli, a 14-year veteran of the police department in Gretna, Louisiana, called her a vile idiot. He deactivated his Facebook account, but nothing you post on Facebook goes away. Folks, he has now been fired, as well as, I need to double check, I think there's another officer who liked his post, and I believe that he's either been fired or suspended. I'm going to pull up in 1 second. I want to go to Mustafa first on this. I mean, what you have here, Mustafa, here you have police officers. This is a cop. This is a cop who is angry with the Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez. And I saw a story today, apparently, that Fox News has mentioned her name 3 times, as many times as her name has been mentioned on MSNBC and on CNN as well. And so the right is having so much hatred toward this woman. And now, of course, with Donald Trump attacking the squad, that is Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar, you have folks who literally are endangering these people's lives. This is a cop saying she should be killed.
Yeah, it's the same thing that has been going on now for a while, where we continue to dehumanize people so that then they can justify these types of actions, whether these actions are through words or through deeds. We know how this can play out. We saw how this played out in Charleston with the Charleston shooter, where he was surrounding himself with this type of negativity and how he felt that he had the right to be able to go in. And I actually talked the other day about folks ask him, you know, after the murder was over, after he had been convicted, if he had any remorse. And he said he would do the same thing again. So when we allow these officers to be able to say these types of things, it just ties into this sort of atmosphere of hate that the administration, and not just the administration, and others continue to place on our country. And it puts a very, very dangerous scenario that we unfortunately continue to see folks speaking out in these negative ways, speaking out about violence and not really being checked. So it's good to hear that this officer has now been fired, because he should have been fired right away.
In fact, Avis, both police officers have indeed been fired, the one who liked the post as well. This is concerning because, again, the hatred that is being cast towards Ocasio-Cortez, being cast toward these other women, this could lead to, again, something tragic happen. Let's not forget, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords was almost assassinated outside of a grocery store by this deranged man. That's what we're dealing with. And when people attack them the way they do, Avis, this could have serious repercussions.
Absolutely, it could have serious repercussions. And it's especially appalling that this is a police officer. But, you know, it's kind of in line with what we've seen recently with all these studies of the social media activities of police officers across the country, where apparently a great deal of them are engaged in very violent discussions online that are specifically targeting individuals. This was particularly egregious because you're targeting this congresswoman. But you're absolutely right. What we're seeing is not only Fox News that specifically demonizes her constantly, but also clearly Trump demonizes her, and now the entire quote-unquote squad in the same way. And what they're ultimately doing is they are radicalizing a white supremacist element in this nation that is growing and that is violent. Let's not forget that this is a very violent group of people. The number one terrorists in America are white men. When you look at mass shootings, who does it? It is primarily white men. And so the fact that he's a white man with a badge makes it that much more dangerous, because we also know that oftentimes police will just protect each other. I am super shocked that he was fired, and as well as someone else. I am glad it happened, because usually that accountability isn't there. You look at what's happened recently with Arizona, for example, where a number of police officers were caught with putting very racist and also violent statements and memes on Facebook. And instead of any of them facing any sort of blowback because of that in terms of disciplinary action, you have the police union out here talking about they're going to hire a firm that's going to scrub their social media activity, which means that we won't even know in the future what policemen are engaged in this violent behavior, because I would argue that there's probably not much difference between someone who would write something like that on Facebook, have a gun at his side each and every day, and possibly could lose his temper and act in a very dangerous way, particularly towards people of color. And that is what ends up in the situations that we see time and time again with unarmed people dead.
Mark Thompson, again, it should be of grave concern to anybody when you have folks who are making these threats, but to have police officers who are doing this. We also know now the 328 cops, which was a very small sample, folks uncovered violent takes, the racist comments as well. I mean, people should be concerned about this.
And we've also seen in the past that lately and this is not to say all military and all law enforcement are this way, but there are those who are white nationalists who are attracted to military and law enforcement careers. That's just a fact. I want to be clear. Not all military and law enforcement are white nationalists, but many white nationalists want to be military and law enforcement. And we've been saying all along that these institutions need to figure out ways to weed out those bad apples early on, to even have an early detection system. But you're right. If something were to happen to any member of the squad the way it happened to Gabby Giffords, that would be a tragedy. And if you or I were to do something like that, or encourage people to do something like that, we'd be accused of incitement. Why isn't Trump accused of incitement? Second of all, I will say this. I'm glad the cop got fired. Now, if a cop can be fired for saying a member of Congress should be shot, why can't cops be fired for outright shooting black people or killing black people, or choking them to death? That's the only other question I have. That's not a reflection on AOC. But what kind of system do we live in where someone making a threat on Facebook, which is horrible, can be fired as he should have been, but someone who carries out a violent act against another human being has to go through an administrative review, and we have to wait and see what all the results are? Tired of that. And frankly, you know, that's the place we put that Buttigieg and de Blasio in right now. But trust and believe, if a cop had done something on those forces, they would have been fired too.
Mustafa, what we have to deal with, here, Mustafa, is that they're angry. They're angry at these sisters. They're angry at these freshmen because they're challenging white supremacy. And also, they're not backing down. They're in their face. That's what you're dealing with here.
Right. They are actually utilizing their power. They are standing up for what they believe in. They're standing up for the communities that have been disproportionately impacted from both police brutality and a number of other issues. And that causes those who have been in power fear. They're actually afraid of these sisters who continue to show that they are willing to stand up and push back. And as President Johnson said, when we fight, we win. They have been fighting for our communities from the first day that they came into office, and they've been fighting for our communities even before they ever got to Capitol Hill.
All right, folks, we got to talk about this crazy-ass story. Normally we have our crazy white people. Okay, what did my panel weigh in on this? Oh, my God, y'all. This actually happened, okay? In an interview with Gayle King on CBS this morning, R. Kelly's crisis manager, I cannot believe, when I saw this, somebody sent me this, and I said, this has to be a hoax. It could not be real, okay? So R. Kelly's crisis manager, Daryl Johnson, revealed, you know what? Just play it, and we'll talk about it with our panel.
You have a 20-something-year-old daughter. Would you allow her to be alone with
Absolutely not.
With R. Kelly?
I wouldn't leave my daughter with anybody that's accused of pedophilia. Period.
So you would not?
I would not leave my daughter with anyone that's accused of being a pedophile. I would not.
That doesn't seem like a contradiction to you. You're
absolutely
sitting here defending R. Kelly, but at the same time saying you wouldn't leave your own daughter with him.
I wouldn't leave my daughter with anyone. Okay. I'm going to say it again. That's accused of being a pedophile.
Kelly. Is it any shock Daryl Johnson is no longer the crisis manager for R. Kelly?
No, because it seems like he's about to be in his own crisis right now. Not only was it contradictory, but it was very telling that somebody in R. Kelly's own camp is admittedly saying that he wouldn't leave his own child around R. Kelly, regardless of whether he's accused of being a pedophile or not. At this point, it seems like a little bit beyond an accusation, but I understand, you know, innocent until proven guilty via court, et cetera, et cetera. But no, he's in a crisis of his own at this point, and, you know, God bless him on his journey.
Jason, if you're in trouble and you've been hit with state charges and federal charges about being with underage women, it really doesn't work for you when your crisis manager goes on television and says, no, I wouldn't leave my daughter with somebody who's accused of pedophilia, meaning your client. That was crazy. And, of course, a lawyer for R. Kelly says that Johnson resigned Monday night for personal reasons. Yes, like answering damn questions to Gayle King.
Yeah. I don't know who vetted that guy, who thought hiring him was a good idea. He was not prepared to do the job. And I don't know why the attorney isn't the crisis guy. Why isn't the attorney the person who's speaking on the case and talking about, R. Kelly and R. Kelly's innocence? I mean, that's the person who's got all the facts and is most prepared. But they hired some consultant who was really quick. I mean, he didn't even think about it. He was like, absolutely not. R. Kelly? Heck no. You know what I mean? It just did not work out well for him, and I'm sure it's not going to do a whole lot of wonders for his business either. So good luck, in whatever your new job is. I forgot the guy's name, but, his beard was really black. I don't know what he put in that.
You know what?
I need some of that. I need some of that for these grays here. So maybe he can endorse that.
Melek, Bakari Sellers tweeted this. This is what happens when you order your crisis manager off eBay.
Oh, no.
I mean, I have to agree with him. At Crisis Management 101, go to bat for your client. In the idea that he would get on national television and say that he wouldn't allow his daughter. Now, I get his point, the later point, which was that he wouldn't like his daughter to be around anyone who's been accused of pedophilia or something like that. But there's a way that you can answer that question without throwing your client under the bus. I mean, he didn't just throw him under the bus. He literally dug a hole just all the way down to the center of the core's earth. And that's where he placed R. Kelly. I mean, and I think that's probably what's going to happen with his career. But like Jason said, he had a lot of great, was that Bantu, or what is that called? Beijing.
Wow. Y'all should know this. I shouldn't be knowing this. I don't wear, wow, never mind.
But yeah, just a truly bad decision, and it would be interesting to see who takes him up, on any contract moving forward after this, because clearly he was not ready.
Did he have one before? Is this his first client? That's what he's acting like.
As in nobody. As in, I'm sure no one will hire him for a crisis manager. Maybe to do their beard, as Jason said, but it won't be any of that. I'm just saying. So that's pretty wild, pretty crazy.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Hey, guys, you heard me talk about a lot about marijuanastock.org because I want to keep you informed of investment opportunities that make sense. We've all watched the growth of the cannabis industry. A recent report by New Frontier Data estimates the global cannabis market at over $340 billion. We know that marijuana legalization is sweeping the country state by state. We also know that marijuana has a good cousin, the hemp plant, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the United States and heavily regulated by the DEA. The 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. And they need land to grow all of the plants. Folks, this is not rocket science. It's just an incredible investment opportunity, and that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. Our friends at 420 Real Estate decided to do something special for the Roland Martin Unfiltered family. Originally, the minimum investment level was $500, but right now you can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200. That's right, anywhere from $200 up to $10,000. Again, folks, this is a $340 billion industry that is still growing, and you can participate with as little as $200. For more information and to invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Be sure to get in the game and do it now.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. It's
what are they
possible.
up to now? No charcoal grills are allowed. I'm white. I got you.
Illegally selling water without a permit on my property.
Whoa! Hey!
Give me your eyes.
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
It's like TMZ.
All a man was trying to do was propose to his woman in a romantic setting. In a Facebook post, Kathy Marie Hamlet explained that she and her fiance, Clyde Jackson, were sitting at a table outside the Angry Orchid gift shop when a female security guard approached them and accused Jackson of stealing a shirt and asked to check his pockets. He emptied his pockets and they found nothing.
but they interrupted them 3 times, once in the middle of him popping the question. The couple, of course, is black, left the park, and staff followed them all the way to the parking lot as they left. Damn, Greg, we can't even propose.
Look here, man. Roland, it's so funny, man. Chicago, I mean, of course, Ebony and Jet is the Chicago story. I'm thinking about Ida B. Wells, who wrote about her friend who was lynched at a grocery store that they owned in Memphis. And they ended up burning Ida B. Wells' printing press down. That's how she ended up going to Chicago. But it started with some little children, black kids and white kids, fighting in a marbles game out there in front of the place. When we read about this today, this man is emptying his pockets looking for a T-shirt, and he's trying to hide the box with the ring in it. So he's got his empty in his pockets trying to keep the box concealed. Now he's proposing. She comes back and says, well, they told me that you gave it to her. So now she got to empty her pocketbook. And then when his friends come to celebrate, they come back and say, well, now they said they passed it around, so all y'all empty y'all pockets. This is how, what Dr. Malveaux just said, Julianne just said, this is how the Red Summer jumped off in Chicago. These white boys were throwing rocks at a black kid in Lake Michigan, and when the rocks hit him and killed him, the rumor spread, and before you knew it, all these black people and white people dead in the city of Chicago. Y'all gonna mess with the right one in a minute. And it ain't gonna be no filming and talking. It's gonna be a race war in this country. But and I'm not saying that because I want to see one pop off. But you're not going.
No. But people have had enough. People have had enough.
People have enough. Funerals and weddings are the most intimate moments for black people. You break up the right one's proposal and see what happens.
You know, this story made me want to cry, made me want to scream, because like you said, Brother Man's just trying to propose. I mean, that's supposed to be a moment that they cherish, that they remember that 50 years or 30 years from now they talk about, remember that time? Now it's going to be, remember that time the stupid white people interrupted us while I was proposing to you. So the racial tinge is there. Langston Hughes talked about something called the sweet flypaper of life. That's the little joy, just a little detritus, the fact that you get to smile when you're on the beach or something like that. These people have taken away some of our flypaper, and for this couple, that's what happened. Taking away, literally stealing their joy. And I hope that these folks, they posted their pictures, I hope somebody does something to somebody. I ain't gonna go as far as Greg, although, you know, if we in the trenches, brother, I got your back.
If we must die, let us nobly die.
Let us not be like hogs, hunted and killed.
No.
Well, I'll tell you, Michael. Greg is right. They're gonna roll up on the wrong one, and they're gonna be emptying something else, not their pockets.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously talked about this all the time. We love this segment that you do. I love how you make it look like another show. It's great. We love the little video.
It is another show.
yeah, I get this. But I tell you what, it's still, the tone is set by 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and people think they can do whatever they want to people of color, that they're empowered, they're emboldened to do it. But usually when you do these segments, Roland, when something like this happens, people lose their job. Did this person get fired?
Not yet, but I gotta say, it might be coming.
Very good.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, and look, sue and use that money for the honeymoon.
There you go. Y'all could go all the way to Tahiti with that.
That's right. That's right.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Let's talk about this huge story that's developing out of Atlanta. Several male Morehouse College students have posted videos of themselves on Twitter alleging they have been sexually assaulted by a male staff member at the all-male college. The explosive videos went viral. Here's one of them.
All right, so I'm finally ready to tell what happened. So since second semester of my freshman year, I was assaulted by a staff member at Morehouse College by the name of DeMarcus Cruz. And it got to the point where I went into really bad depression and shit like that. And he started he was kind of trying to force me to come out about my sexuality and shit like that, making advances at me, telling me I need dick, comments and shit like that, right? And he told me, another comment he made was, didn't I tell your bitch ass to text me if you need anything or anything like that? So these are the comments that DeMarcus made to me. I don't want to go into like detail of what actually happened because this video will be taken forever. But my freshman year, he used to do shit such as like hugging me, pinching on my cheeks and shit, just predatory shit like that. So I never told my parents about it. I probably told like one or two of my friends about it. And it's really been bothering me. And I just started breaking down crying today because I told Title IX, I reported it the day after. I reported it to Title IX. And Terrain Bailey, and like I said, this was in the beginning of 2018. Terrain Bailey literally like was being condescending the whole time, acting like she didn't care. Canceled several meetings with me, never heard anything back from her. Comes to find out she was fired. So that whole semester plus first semester of my sophomore year, I didn't hear anything about it.
I am Bryson Hill. I'm a freshman at Morehouse College, and I too was sexually harassed by DeMarcus Cruz, a dean at Morehouse College. During the summer prior to my freshman year, I was doing a program called PSCP, and during this program was where I met Dean Cruz, and he was, very nice and helpful. He was trying to help me get scholarship, and, he was really looking out for me. He was just looking out. I remember there were some nights where, like, he would call me at, like, 2 o'clock in the morning, and we would just be up talking. He'd be trying to help me with scholarship. But I always had noticed that he kind of, treated me differently than the other students. Like, he would buy me food, and he would ask me, like, if I was good, if I needed anything. So, like, I really appreciated it. But going into my first semester at Morehouse College, this is where things started to make me a little bit more uncomfortable. I remember that, one time he said to me, all the girls want your pussy, huh? Implying that, these men at Morehouse College are, sexually interested in me and want to have sexual relations with me. He would always, try to make jokes or try to, tell me or, he would always make references to, like, my sexuality and say things like, oh, well, I know whenever you get married, he was like, I don't know if you're going to get married to a male or to a female, but whoever you marry, and he would start to laugh. So, always making references to my sexuality. He would do those things, and, at one point it was kind of a joke, and it just turned to a point where it was just taken too far.
Morehouse College has responded to the allegations against DeMarcus Cruz, the Assistant Director of Student Services. He was placed on administrative leave, and the school has opened an investigation into the accusations. Morehouse responded to our request for them to come on Roland Martin Unfiltered with this statement. Morehouse College is expanding its sexual misconduct investigation of new complaints filed against additional employees. First of all, let me just double check again. Morehouse College is expanding its sexual misconduct investigation to include the examination of new complaints filed against additional employees. The new complaints were reported Wednesday following allegations made by students on social media. No further information is available at this time. The education and development of the men of Morehouse is our top priority, and the college will take the necessary action to protect the safety of its students. The college encourages anyone who feels that they are a victim of sexual misconduct at Morehouse to come forward and call the Ethics and Compliance Hotline at 888-299-9540. Callers should share their contact information so that a case can be properly initiated and investigated. Your contact information will be kept confidential. Morehouse's sexual misconduct policy and procedures provide for disciplinary action, including dismissal if any student, faculty, or staff member engages in inappropriate behavior. The case filed earlier this week against the Morehouse staff member is still under review. The employee remains on unpaid leave pending the outcome of the investigation. Also, folks, in 2018, another student filed a lawsuit against Morehouse and several of its staff members claiming negligence in another alleged sexual harassment case. Dr. Carter, I want to go to you. You're there at Howard University. We've seen these stories when it involves women. Yes. Here you have a case all-male university, making the allegations. In the first video there, the young man said that he got no support from Title IX. Right. They treated that was very indifferent with it. That person is no longer even at the university. And clearly, for them to go to social media, that means they were not getting what they needed from the university.
Absolutely. And I think part of the problem is the person who they would have first gone to see about these kinds of things was the very person who was victimizing these young men. And allegedly victimizing, excuse me, you're right. But to be fair, Morehouse College has faced this claim before from the women of Spelman who said they did not act in the cases where they were being assaulted or allegedly assaulted by Morehouse men. Nonetheless, I think part of the problem with Morehouse College and many people, not just Morehouse College, is they see Title IX as belonging to women somehow. And if heterosexuality is the norm of your university and you don't think young men can be victimized or potentially victimized by faculty and administrators and others on campus, then you probably will take a more lackadaisical approach. In this case, like you said, this is the only one case. There was another case where a young man claimed that he was being harassed by a professor, and he brought a Title IX claim multiple times, and nothing happened. So this is a part of a systemic problem with Morehouse, it seems, at this point, with their Title IX office, at least.
If you are the board of trustees at Morehouse, Joy, you must be demanding answers from the administration saying, how can a number of people repeatedly go to Title IX office and nothing happens?
The Board of Trustees had to know about the other claims.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No, I can't make that assumption because, again, a claim could be made. First of all, a Board of Trustees, that's actually getting into the weeds. That's actually an administrative deal. Right. Now the question is, was there a particular settlement? That's a whole different question. That rises, frankly, to a board level. But initial claim, a Board of Trustees may not necessarily know.
But right now, you're right. They're doing an investigation. But I think one of the greatest tragedies of what's going on is that young women and young men, there's no conversation that allows them to be safe. They go to the school, they're not safe or taken care of. The first young man who testified said he couldn't go to his parents. And that happens a lot when we're hearing the stories about women. They don't know what to do. I think we need to have a cultural conversation, just like we tell our 6-year-olds, if somebody touches you beneath where your bathing suit should be, we should have a conversation at orientation, probably at high school level, before that if this happens, these are the people you tell, including going to the police.
But they do that, right? In freshman orientation, I know at least at Howard University, there's a whole Title IX office. They come and they tell you who you're supposed to contact. The problem is people still don't feel comfortable.
Well, what I was going to say next, and the next level of that orientation is to the adults.
Well,
be held accountable. You cannot be the head of student activities, and you're the one allegedly doing the harassment.
But the thing, Eugene, that jumps out is that this is not just a question of, frankly, what they tell students. If you look at what took place at Baylor University, where they had a number of sexual assault claims against athletes at Baylor, they said Title IX failed because it was the athletic department. Right. You also have, of course, the Obama administration who tried to beef up the rules when it comes to Title IX. Then Betsy DeVos, after Donald Trump comes in, they basically get rid of those provisions.
Legs out.
And what you have is you have universities that do not want to confront these issues. That's where it is. An administration, a president of a university, has to say there's going to be zero tolerance in ignoring Title IX claims.
Yeah, and I agree 100% with you. It's almost as if the universities have an inherent conflict of interest. You know, here you had multiple. The students did their part, and more times than not, the students will do their part in reporting it. The issue is how is it handled after it's reported. What you're seeing with a lot of these Title IX offices is that, one, they're dropping the ball, they're either ignoring the cases or just being completely negligent, and which is actually criminal activity. I think what probably needs to happen going forward, and it probably should be codified federal policy, is that when you have Title IX complaints or Title IX cases open, especially ones involving sexual assault and grave sexual assault, I think they probably should be handed over to the police department, and not necessarily even campus police, or probably whatever the local jurisdiction is to be handled and investigated. Because the university has an inherent conflict of interest to, one, quote unquote, protect the brand and name of the university, or those that are significant assets to the university, like athletes.
But even if half of what these these young men are alleging is true. And much of it was just inappropriate behavior, teaching our young people to understand what is inappropriate grooming style behavior. Nobody should be calling you at 2 a.m. To talk about anything personal, right? If it's a student in crisis and that's your job for them to call you, but you shouldn't be just calling them to shoot the breeze at 2 a.m.
You also should never be having a sexually oriented conversation with a student. That would be inappropriate for us to have it in this panel, let alone your superior, your guide on a college campus.
Absolutely.
It's an inappropriate conversation.
Absolutely.
Period.
And I think that.
And I think Roland is right.
Yeah.
At the president level, zero tolerance.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, this is a hard one because I think so many of these people, these young men in these videos certainly felt some responsibility for what allegedly happened to them. And there is a shame that comes with it. The fact that they are also young men, I think we don't really have a good way in this society of talking about how young men have a right to also be protected in certain kinds of ways because there's not really an acknowledgement of the ways in which men, black boys, black men are also victimized.
Folks, of course, we'll keep you updated on this story to see what happens next.
Friends, let me be very brief. My time is of the essence because I have many miles to travel before I sleep. I must be in Washington, D.C. this evening. Friends, Dr. King reminds us that the truest measure of the person is not where you stand in times of comfort and convenience, but where do you stand in times of challenge and controversy. I promise to be brief. And these are times of challenge and controversy. We have in the White House a person who does not respect the humanity of the people that we represent. We have in the White House a person who is ruthless and lawless, and I am a person who believes that such a person should not occupy the White House in the United States of America. So I'm here with you today because I know who you are. You are the organization. I'm a part of you. I'm a life member and a diamond member. You're the organization that filed Shelley versus Kramer and Burroughs versus Jackson to allow us to outlaw restrictive covenants and live in neighborhoods where we couldn't live prior to those cases being litigated. You litigated, and successfully, I might add, Brown versus the Board of Education. If the truth be told, we eat where we eat, we sleep where we sleep, and we live where we live because of the NAACP. And I believe that we are people who are committed to the cause of justice. We are people committed to the notion that if you tolerate hatred and bigotry and racism, you will perpetuate it. We are people who are here to end hatred and bigotry, and because we want to end it, we have to do what few others are willing to do, and that is take on the President of the United States of America. This is what the NAACP's mission is. Now, I love the NAACP, and I believe you do too. If you love it and you know it, why don't you stand up and show it? Let's hear it for the greatest human rights, civil rights organization on the planet Earth that's going to do what's necessary to protect decency, who's going to do what's necessary to protect civility. We are the NAACP. We will be heard. We will stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. God bless you and thank you.
Mr. Chair and delegates, the NAACP was founded, as you all know, on the notion that you don't convict and punish somebody before there has been a trial. With that in mind, what I've proposed and what has been formally submitted is that we strike the language from the penultimate resolve clause and has committed a high misdemeanor in office because that is what would be determined after a trial. Also, in the final resolve clause, I propose striking the language that comes after trial so that it would read, be it finally resolved that Donald John Trump, by causing such harm to the society of the United States, is unfit to be president and warrants impeachment and trial. What would happen to him as a result of that trial should be left to the process.
The question has been called. Cut off debate on the emergency resolution. All those in favor, raise your voting card. Those opposed? Debate is cut. Debate has ended. We're now voting on the emergency resolution as amended. All those in favor, raise your voting card. All those opposed? The chair declares that this resolution has passed unanimously. Yeah.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Essence Atkins, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey, yo, Peace World, what's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan, and if you're ready, you are listening to and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
This is Diala Riddle, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Stay woke.
This is Director X, the director of Superfly on the red carpet or the black carpet, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Yo, what up, y'all? This is Jay Ellis, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, I'm Chaley Rose, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
I'm Lex Scott Davis, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Jacob Lattimore, and you're now watching Roland Martin right now.
Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.
Unfiltered.